we're back. We're doing it again 2 weeks later. And you look slightly more awake this time, mate. You didn't look bad last time, but that was your own standards, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I've had a haircut since then. We've had a race since then, so I'm feeling a little bit better. But the beauty about YouTube is we don't have to be invited back. We can just come back and do it again. whether or not people are going to be there watching us or not is another thing, but it doesn't really matter, does it? So
yeah, it doesn't. The beautiful thing is we had such a good time last time, and the people that were oh, hello, Jennifer. Evening, Dave. What we'll try and do this time is at least acknowledge people joining, because there's a few people missed out last time, and just as they pop up on
the chat.
Yeah, exactly. And you've done well this time, mate. We've gone live and you haven't frozen yet.
Yeah, I know. I did. Well, I almost did. I was waiting for you to do your intro, and then I was like, "Oh, he's not going to say anything."
Nah, we're not going to say. Well, let's just go straight into it. Evening, Kieran, Darren, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Odin, blimey, Dave Greenslade, Steve Putt. It's all the regular crew. Look at this.
Yeah, we got
Ian Broughton. Good evening. This is good. It's all the regular guys that we get to see and hear from, which is brilliant. Welcome along, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to the second live show that Ben and I have done for Off Track, the motorcycle racing podcast. We're just here to I don't know, just talk shit, really. I think just about what's gone on over the weekend and just see what's going on with regards to the world of motorcycle racing and everything else. And it should be a good one. There's been so much going on over the weekend. It's been nuts, hasn't it? Let's first of all, mate, seeing as you're here and present and correct, how was your weekend at Oulton Park?
Yeah, it was really good, actually. We've been on an incredible run, so it was bound to come to an end in some way, whether it was stopping the winning or the podium run. But I still got 2 podiums on the weekend. I got pole position. So it was a very successful weekend. I managed to extend my points lead to 68 points. So, it was a big success. I was going to say, actually, these lives are great because someone come up to me in Oulton Park and he said, "You're the shittest co-host I've ever met." And I went, I was like, "Thanks, man." Like, first he wanted a knee slider. And then he's like, "By the way, you're the shittest co-host I've ever met." And I thought, and I'm going to give you a free knee slider for saying that. He's like, "No, you're really good."
To me, I don't know this. For everybody watching on, I have no idea about this story. So you're listening to this same time I am.
I said to him, "You want a free knee slider, but I'm a shit co-host." Okay, cool, nice one. And he said, "No, you're good at doing it. You just never show up." So I thought, you know what? He's right. There's been a lot of podcasts where I haven't actually shown up. So we'll do the live one so I can come proper unstuck. There's no editing.
No editing whatsoever.
He's been, give the people what they want.
Yeah, and this is the bit that we can do the best with you. It's a good thing because not every podcast you can get to, especially as at the minute we're doing a load of stuff at the circuit while you're preparing for the weekend. So in the winter, there'll be a lot more opportunity before you fly home to do a couple more shows. Come up here, leave the van up here, and we'll get out and we'll go and do a few bits. But yeah, because we do our shows mainly at a race circuit at the minute, it's difficult for you to be in with them all. And because motorcycle racing, as we've said before, riders, you don't always get on with every guest that we're going to have on. So sometimes it can be difficult because you're still an active motorcycle racer. So just the nature of the sport says it makes it a little bit difficult sometimes.
Yeah, I tell you what, God help him when I retire. Imagine my opinion when I'm actually retired.
You said that at Knock Hill. I'm so looking forward to that.
I'll upset a few people, won't it? But no. Well, I like to think that I give my honest opinion all the time, whether it's a popular one or not. We try our best, don't we?
Yeah, always. And evening to everybody that's just joining us. Mark Wriggler's joining us. Melanie Pegg's joining us. Wonder what the topic of conversation will be this weekend. And Andrew Wellborn as well.
I feel like there was a hidden meaning on that one. I think we all know what we're going to discuss, and we're all going to put our 50p in the pot. So yeah, let's let's hold
Have I
back
got
on
to
that one,
actually
Callum.
take splinters out my ass and actually have an opinion on this now?
Yeah, I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear everyone's opinion on it. 'Cause I tell you something, there was some. If we're talking about the same thing, there was some very mixed views on social media. I mean, are we starting? Are we talking about this now? Are we going straight
You,
into it? What are we doing?
mate, let's go into it because I'm pretty sure that's what most of the people are here sat waiting for.
So I was scanning social media. Obviously, we're talking about the Tommy Bridewell incident on the weekend. Huge controversy all over in all aspects, whether it was the penalty itself, the antics afterwards. The whole scenario was insane, but it was box office. It was box office as well. I mean, there's an argument for a lack of professionalism on Tommy's side, but that's another discussion. We'll talk about that. I'm not a politician, so I couldn't care less. But I know there is an element of professionalism that you've got to maintain for our sport. So it's not, one of the most popular sports in the mainstream eye for a number of reasons. So that doesn't help the scenario. But the incident itself has tightened the whole championship right up. I mean, what is it? A half a point in between Tommy and Glenn Irwin as it stands. And yeah, I've actually seen a few opinions from some notable superbike riders, whether it's in World Superbike, in other championships, on the grid, fans, close relatives. There's mixed emotions, let's say. But I want to ask you, Dave. I'm not normally the interviewer. What's your opinion on it as you slurp your cup of tea?
Right. The way I see what happened was, let's go right back to race one, because Tommy was on the back foot. He got a poor start, and Glenn was backing the field up. So back into race one, Glenn was slowing the pace down to try and get Kyle and Jacko involved. Tommy knew he had the pace of Glenn all weekend for me. When you look at the difference in how they were riding and you look at race two and race three, Tommy had the pace of Glenn all weekend, because as soon as Tommy got to the front, he stretched things out. So he always had that in the back of his mind. He was going there for the treble. For the sprint race, Glenn suckered him in, pure and simple, into Knickerbrook chicane. That suckered him in. He didn't go through the bollards, did he? He went down the side, but I think
I did notice that.
that kind of escaped the eye of one or two. But he finished fourth, and that's kind of.
I think he was deemed to lose enough, as in that sector. So.
Yeah, he only got to lose, I think, is it a full second or a couple of seconds or something?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he didn't gain anything from it, that's for sure. But then comes the fun and games in race two, the race one on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
This, for me, again, showed just what we said about when Glenn's at the front, he was pulling Kyle and Leon and Jacko back in. But as soon as Tommy got to the front, he stretched them out again. I know ifs and buts and pots and pans. Had there not been a safety car, Tommy, for me, would have won that race comfortably. However, he didn't, because
your opinion? Come on, Mr. Politician. You've basically answered a question without answering the question. What do you think?
No, I've given background context.
Okay, which means nothing. Do you think someone's playing loud music out front of my house? Do you think? Whoa! What is your opinion on the penalty itself? Was it fair,
the penalty itself,
or was it not? Come on, the people want to know.
Look at Jeff Lapworth sticking his beak in already. Good evening, Jeff.
Was it a penalty or not?
Yes.
It was a penalty.
For me, it was a penalty because he went and he slowed down, and because you look at everybody behind him. If you're all in a line, you're only going to look. You know this from the pilot's seat. You're only watching the bike in front, right? Not the one right at the very front.
Yeah.
So if Tommy does slow down, I don't think he slammed on the anchors. I think he did roll off quite a bit. Obviously, I don't think he slammed the anchors on to try and trip everybody up. And there was a reason why he did it. If the safety car is right, then so be it, because he didn't want to pass it like Snetterton last year. But you can't then go and then roll off. Watching Ryan Vickers go past 40 mile an hour faster than everybody else, and people waving their hands, that to me, it was a dangerous situation. So the penalty was right. But it was unnecessary. I really felt for him because that spoilt his weekend completely.
Unnecessary in the sense of the championship, or as in just a human like thing, like he didn't deserve it, or actually technically he deserved it, but it just.
Stripping it back for the penalty, it was justified as a penalty, because if that had gone wrong, there were 5 or 6 bikes down there, and Tommy was under pressure. He had to win that race, and it was you know what emotion of racing a motorcycle's like.
I mean, anything really, anything that you feel passionate about, isn't it? I mean, from my perspective, I mean, I thought we might disagree on this one, but we actually don't. We're agreeing on this one. It's definitely a penalty for me. I know people see it differently, and look, we're all entitled to our own opinion. The rule, as a rider, the rule states the guy at the front of the pack dictates the speed of the restart. However, the underlining factor is if you suddenly speed up and erratically slow down and do all sorts of crazy stuff that could potentially cause a big accident or be dangerous for the riders behind, you can get a penalty. And the onboard footage, all the footage that I've seen, clearly shows Tommy taking off to sort of resume onto race pace, out of Druids, up over the rise, under the bridge, into Lodge. And I think at that point he thinks, I've gone too early. The safety car's actual speed is nowhere near what he had predicted. And then he hasn't slammed the brakes on, he's slowed down, but he's continued to slow down at a rate that is almost walking pace, like scary slow. And then you can see the knock-on effect it has, because like you said, you're only staring at the person in front. You can see on the onboard footage, you literally can't see. And this is why, racing can be so dangerous at times. When you're tucked in doing 160 mile an hour, the only thing you can see is the back wheel of the guy in front of you. So if down the road somebody's cut out or something scary like that's happened, we've seen some absolute insane incidents from this exact reason. And in that exact spot of Oulton Park, when Leon Haslam T-boned James Allison and ended up in the rider's living space. So it was almost an exact knock-on to that sort of effect, where Ryan Vickers arrived at Lodge Corner at race pace and realised everyone was stopped. It was a car park. It was literally a car park of riders. And he missed the back of maybe Leon or something like that by that much. And you saw the pace he was going. He literally had to release the brakes, go right, and somehow miraculously miss everyone. So for me, undoubtedly a penalty, and it's a real shame. Like, it's a shame that it had to go that way, but that is the reality, and that's just how it goes, unfortunately. So that's
Agreed.
my opinion.
The one thing that I will say, that it wasn't a deliberate tactic.
No, it was just a misjudgment, I think.
It was a misjudgment. Exactly. Yeah. It was a misjudgment, and I think that's the way. Let's just read this from Jeff. Tommy did speed up and slow down, no doubt. If you look at the difference between how Josh and Leon rode compared to the riders further back, there's a big difference. Jeff can speak with authority on this one because Jeff works with Tommy.
Right.
On the bike. So I'm pleased he's able to put his 2 penneth in. So feel free to keep putting that in, Jeff. If you've got information and you've got insight to help us form an even better opinion, mate, please keep putting it in the comments. I'm happy to stand corrected, but let us know if you think the penalty was right or wrong or indifferent, mate. It would be interesting to know.
Yeah,
But thanks for putting that in.
On that one, from my experience with a sudden stop of pace from a rider, it is insane scary. So I've been in a situation on a track day where the level of riders is not quite the same as what we would experience at BSB. And you approach someone from 100 meters back and you can see him come in, and you think, right, they're far enough away. I can see them. I'm approaching them. You're on race pace. And they're a novice track day rider or a beginner track day rider. You approach, you hit the brakes, or you approach the braking zone and they've hit the brakes 100 meters before you. But you can't tell until you're literally missing them by that much, or you suddenly close them at a rate that you're just a passenger at that point. So this is what makes track days so dangerous with races out on track and not just track day riders. Because the closing speeds, you're talking 20 seconds a lap difference. The closing speed is insane. And although you can see them up the track, you can still scare yourself and have near misses. I've had some near misses that have scarred me enough to not want to do track days anymore. So could you imagine somebody at a BSB track backing up 40 BSB riders at a race pace scenario down to, basically a novice track day rider? It's going to creep up on you really, really fast. So, and I bet the mere mortal can compare the situation to a sudden traffic jam on a motorway. You're driving away on cruise control at 80 mile an hour, 75 mile an hour, whatever the legal speed limit is over here.
70, Ben.
And then you're cruising away, you're daydreaming, and next thing there's a sea of red. And you're like, oh shit, that's stopped. And we've all had that heart flutter moment where you go, oh, I've got to slow down. So that's kind of a similar situation. So that's why we all have to take care in those situations and not take the piss too much when leading the pack, although there's got to be an element of cat and mouse to a certain extent because you need to somehow gain an advantage. So
yeah, I remember Donington in 19 with Scott and Jeff. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Check the comments and see what Jeff's put in there. It's nice just to keep things rolling on, and the fact that he's still tuned in is quite nice. Thanks, mate. When you remember, Scotty backed everybody up at Donington. I think he was at McLean's, and the safety car was somewhere down the back straight in one of the races. He backed them all the way up in typical Scott fashion. And I think it was a similar sort of thing there. It's hang on, Darren Oliver, was the safety car going too slow into Lodge? I don't know. That's a great question.
An F1 car. He needed an F1 car. Let's be honest. The safety car is far too slow, period. Like, if you're talking actual tyre temperature, like, there's a certain working tyre temperature for optimal performance. And you're dropping your lap time by 20 seconds when the safety car comes out. Now, that's like turning off the tyre warmers half an hour before your race. You may as well turn the tyre warmers off. So, I don't agree with it, really. But I mean, who am I to say? Like, it's obviously worked for the most part of BSB's, however long it's been in for. But from that standpoint, I don't agree with it. I agree with it that it keeps things moving, because how often have we seen a red flag just ruin races, and then races are shortened and we never get that sort of that ending that we deserve. But there's got to be an element of safety in it as well. Like, the safety car's too slow. Is there potential to have a motorbike safety car? Like a motorbike rider that's decent with a high vis on or something like that can clearly display that the safety car's on, all the light panels around the track displaying safety car flags, that they know that there's going to be a bike. They have to be able to maintain a certain pace. I don't know. Honestly, that's probably clutching at straws a little bit, and we're probably going down a rabbit hole here. But yeah, I mean, it is quite a sticky subject.
It is tricky, and there's some great questions coming in as well about whether we could just use the car for a stricken rider or marshal or something like that. If it's just from a moving a motorcycle point of view, because it was it Storm that crashed at? It was just on the edge, wasn't it, at Clay Hill? I think
Uh,
Storm had
yeah,
crashed up there, and they were moving the bike. So there has to be something deployed. Um, I don't even know if we could do, like they do with the virtual safety car.
yeah.
Can
It's
you
impossible.
lot be trusted to do that?
It's impossible, though, isn't it? Because they literally turn the cars off, don't they? Basically.
Yeah, they do it. They do it remotely, don't they? They can chop them all down. So then, what do you do then in terms of pace? So no, that wouldn't work at all. But
Because the thing is, everyone's going to take the piss. If you're 3 seconds back on a rider and under a safety car, you have to maintain 3 seconds. You sure as hell know you're going to cross the line with 2.7 in your bag. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I just took 3/10 out of your bike. Sorry, you know what I mean? Like, you
get
can't.
out, you'd be
You
tapping
just
him on the
can't
back.
police it.
You'd be
But
tapping him on the
I'd
back.
love to. I'd love to. Maybe speak to Stuart or something like that. What he thinks of the whole safety car thing, because a number of times I've been. I feel like I've lost races because of safety cars. So
Yeah.
I'd be leading the race. I mean, we have a joke, don't we, Kirsty, where it's like, "Oh, safety car's out, race is over." Like I'll be leading the race, safety car comes out, and my tire temperature drops, and I don't have the same feeling again. And I'm like, one race, I was 5 seconds up the road, a safety car came out, and I lost the race. Like from the guy that I was gapped 5 seconds, he was faster than me on the restart. So yeah, there's lots of scenarios like that, but yeah, I think in this case, unfortunately for Tommy, he got it wrong. So and Glenn benefited. So and it's all under the same umbrella. So it
Talk.
was just crazy. Sorry, Dave, to cut you off. I
No, go
just
on.
thought it was such a emotionally fueled weekend in so many aspects for PBM, where both riders wanted to win for their team. Both riders wanted to win for their championship campaign. They both want to be the number one. They both have big enough egos in their own right. It's like a pressure cooker ready to pop in there. And when we saw, I think we did a podcast at the start of the year or something last year when we discussed in PBM signing, and we thought, ooh, fireworks. And it's only taken till now for it to all pop off. So, yeah, I'm watching with keen interest from afar. That's for sure.
It was. I think I said this to Jeff on Thursday when we were talking, and I definitely set it up on the fan merch stand on Friday. I just felt with the sad passing of Paul, that it just added so much more impetus to be the first pole position man in Birdie's honour, to be the first race winner in Birdie's honour, and to be the first champion in Birdie's honour. I think it always had the potential to go pop at this time of year, but now having the sad loss of Paul and the brilliant job that Jordan and Frank Jr. have done this weekend and the team as a whole to do what they did, for me, was always going to turn the pressure cooker up just to 11. And I think some of the comments that have come out, there've been little snipes all through the year. If you're listening on circuit commentary or you're listening on the TV, just little thinly veiled comments that it's sort of gone unnoticed almost in a few ways.
For a lot of people, not for me. I've been watching it closely for a long time, and I thought, ooh, you just know though that there's going to be games going on all season. But they've been around the block. I mean, I've sat opposite Glenn in the garage as a teammate, and as a rookie to Superbike, and I know exactly what it's like. And you know damn well that's been happening since testing. Like, for sure, since they span the first lap. Like, I was watching him in Navarre and I thought, they're just after each other. You can tell 1/10 here, 1/10 there, 1/10 here. And you can tell in a debrief from afar that they're probably like filling each other's heads full of absolute garbage to try and gain an advantage wherever they can. But I mean, that's racing. That is racing. But for me, what I don't understand for the whole weekend, and correct me if I'm wrong, I might have missed something because I'm not watching 100% closely. And without watching all the footage back, there was a lot of comments about Tommy Bridewell's post race 3 interview. So he'd won, he'd done it, he got his ultimate revenge of the weekend. He got the W that he so rightly deserved. He
100%.
basically, Glenn did the interview prior and was like, yeah, fair play to Tommy, kept it very professional, didn't, in my eyes, say anything sort of out of the way, unordinary. But Bridewell came in gloves off and was like, it's on site. Like, I'm ready to punch on with this guy, basically. We're not friends anymore. It's sad that it's got messy. He's been talking shit, basically, off track about me, and I'm going to do the talking on track. So those comments were like a little bit, they took me back. I was like, well, what have I missed? Something's kicked off somewhere. Scouring through social media quickly, having a look at some different comments, etc. There was word about Glenn Irwin, and now look, I don't know if these are loyalist Tommy Bridewell fans, but I didn't see anything. But according to them, Glenn made the first move publicly about slating Tommy about something. Now I've missed that, but something's made
You
it
and
kick
me
off.
both on this one. But the understanding that I have is that Glenn made a comment after race 2 on the TV, so race 1 on Sunday, and it was about his upbringing, and he had a better upbringing, and I think I get what he was trying to say, but the problem was his delivery was poor. It was taken the wrong way. And he came out to apologize about that afterwards. I'm not 100% sure that he was as deliberately as inflammatory as he should have been. Yeah, thank you, Ian. A lack of common sense because of his upbringing. Now, I haven't seen the full point, but
if he said that, I can understand.
Yeah, but his point was that exactly what Kieran Smith has just said. He misworded it. Glenn's trying his best to be a calm Zen man, and he has his words and he has his way over a weekend. We didn't get to talk to him on Thursday. We were slated for 1:30. He was on time, but then he ended up with a filming obligation down at the Fogarty Moss with MSV. So he apologized profusely. We tried to do it later on that night, and he didn't finish the track walk till 8:00, by which time I was on the way back to the hotel. And then he wasn't doing anything else across the weekend. Now, Glenn has he's practicing gratitude. He's doing his breathing exercises. He's doing something incredibly well. But what he's trying to do is he's trying to, I don't know, I can't think of the word that it is or the phrase that I'm looking for. He's not trying to be clever, but he's trying to be really deep and meaningful with what he's saying and to appreciate what he does. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just coming out wrong. And it did. And he made what looked like to me a genuine apology after race 3 that said, look, I didn't mean it that way. I wasn't, because if it was meant that way, it was a ridiculous thing to say, which I don't think Glenn is like that.
So basically,
not sitting on the fence or anything else. He's just trying to be, he was trying to be cool, calm and collected, and it kind of didn't work.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying, he's not that stupid to say what was the way it was taken, basically. And he was trying to say something else. It's been taken out of context, and shit's hit the fan, basically.
Because they were getting ready for race 3. Everything kicks off on social media, which we'll come to shortly, because some of the comments and questions that we've had coming through, and thank you very much for all of those. Jen's trying to keep top side of them, and at the same time, we're trying to explain what we're going on about and reading your comments at the same time. So thank you everybody so far for all the comments. I just think that Glenn, it proved it on the grid we interviewed him, I think, 3 times on the grid over the weekend. And every time Glenn was like, I'm just going to trust the process. I'm just going to do this. Third time, Whit just got pissed off with him. Went, look, we know all that. Tell us something different. And there's so much focus with Glenn on what he's trying to do that he's coming out with the same things.
Yeah.
And I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to be focused. He's trying to get the planets to align. He's trying to win his first British Superbike title. So's Tommy. Tommy's wearing his heart on his sleeve. Tommy knows, and I'm sure the team knows that, and his side of the garage knows that should have been a treble this weekend from Tommy's point of view. He rescued it with a win. There's half a point in it. Game on at Donington Park, and I think for the show, it's absolutely fantastic.
Who do you think has slight, well, not advantage, because we know he's got the slight advantage, but who do you think has got the slight mental advantage, or who do you think is going to come out on top, basically? Who do you think's right now? Who do you think's on top right now? Let's say, forget about the half point. We're dead even. We're a dead heat. Who do you think is on top right now, and who do you think's going to get the job done?
I tell you what, who I think is on top right now, I think, listening to his post-race comments, I think, and I agree with Maggie Day right there, Tommy. I genuinely think Tommy has the upper hand at the minute.
I don't think so.
No, Jen's shaking her head as well.
Because what we've seen,
that last win, he did it at Cadwell as well. Glenn won 2. Tommy had to win the third one to keep in touch with him, and he did it again this weekend. He won that third race because he had to, and I think knowing that he can do that and have it against everything else that had gone against him, the penalty, the poor start in race 1, and then running on at the chicane. Go for it. Tell me, dude. Tell me.
I see the 2 Tommy wins to finish the weekend off as a must-win scenario. So in his head, something's changed mentally. Race 1 and 2, he's gone in as the fastest guy. He hasn't capitalized. Is that pressure? Is that I've got a championship lead, I don't want to crash? They're going to throw everything at it. Glenn's got the better of him majority of the time in the last 2 rounds when his back is against the wall. So Glenn is the slower rider on paper. So he's got the job done. He's pulled back a points deficit to lead the championship at Tommy's, and this is inside scoop, Tommy's strongest track. Well, strongest tracks, should I say. So Tommy Bridewell, if we remember a year ago or so, with the Oxford Ducati team, blitzed them, blew them away. He said in one of his interviews that he could win blindfolded, basically something along those lines at Oulton Park at times, because he's that good at Oulton Park. Now, he's been beaten 2 out of the 3 times at Oulton Park. His third race is an absolute must-win again. It's almost like, right, gloves are off, and he goes and beats Tommy Bridewell, and he does win. But I think it's because Glenn has got the mental advantage at the moment. He's got the mental advantage, and I can see that just by some of the things that are being said in interviews and stuff like that. Glenn's like you said, he's like zen, nothing's gonna get in my head, And by the way, Glenn was one of the most like emotionally charged, erratic people, on the grid last year and previous years, and that's maybe what had let him down, because he's always been crazy fast. But I think he's got the slight advantage on Tommy at the moment. And look, I'm a mutual on this one. I don't favour one or the other in this respect. I just hope we have a fantastic ding-dong all the way to the end of the championship. But that's my opinion right now. That could all change at Donington. But where I'm at right now is Glenn's. It's set point, Glenn.
Are we going to have 50p on this?
Yeah, I'll have 50p on it. But we're not sort of predicting who's going to win. That's a different suggestion. Who do you think's going to win? I'm saying Glenn's ahead right now, but who do you reckon's going to win?
Oh,
Kyle for champion on the comments.
there's a lot of people that go for Kyle on the comments.
Yeah, but that's all his fan club. I bet you they bought a T-shirt and they feel emotionally invested, and they're like, "Oh, damn it, I've got to go for Kyle now." I don't know. I spent 40 quid on merchandise.
It's a shame I can't turn my phone around because I've got a big 77 on the back of my phone.
Of course you do. He's good at that stuff, isn't he, old Kyle? Well done, mate. Fair play.
And I have got a 28 and a 63 on it as well, so I'm hedging my bets from last season.
You haven't even got my number on there yet.
You've never given me one.
No, I don't have him, to be fair.
There you go. Dave for Prime Minister. Evening, Norm. Norm's in Aruba. We've got a viewer over in Aruba in the Caribbean tonight. That's marvellous.
Thanks, Maggie. Appreciate that.
Just a couple of points coming in. Will the points change make a difference? The only thing that the points change makes a difference for at this time of the season and at brands is for DNFs. Consistency stays the same. It's purely down to the damage that a DNF will do. So I think the 3 points, 2 points difference, everything else, it's not going to make too much of a difference in that sense because they both got the consistency. So I'm not too concerned about that side of things. I think that'll look after itself.
How far's Kyle back?
40, I think.
Do you know what? He destroyed them at Donington earlier in the year.
Apart from crashing in race 2, mate, he could have had the hat trick.
He's got his mojo back. He's going to 2 tracks at Super Strong. I mean, he's not out of it. Oh,
What
Maggie's saying 60.
You all right?
He's not out of it.
I thought you'd had a heart attack then. That's the highest pitch I've ever heard you.
No, you know.
There's a couple of dogs down the street just gone, huh?
I like how Michael Hallam just admits in the comments, he's like, I got a 77 on my car. He sat there like that going, I've had me over and all. I've had to buy a 77 sticker.
60 behind.
Everyone realising that Kyle's made so much money off his merch this year that he's laughing all the way to the bank. No, he's a good lad. He deserves it.
60 points behind. So that's a big, it's a big ask. But only needs these two because now neither of them have to win a race. One of them has to finish in front of the other. That's the key now. Nobody's got a title. Nobody's got a gap to defend. Nobody's got nobody's got a lead that they have to ride defensively. They have to beat each other, whether that's to 3rd and 4th, 2nd and 3rd, or 10th and 11th. If we have another Thruxton, one has to finish in front of the other. It's just that easy now, all the way through. Spig. The new off-track willy warmers are a bit tight. Also, right, we'll come on to now what we have seen this weekend and over the last few days, rightly pointed out by quite a few on the comments. Social media, it has been absolutely atrocious over the past few days. The vitriol that's come out against Stuart, against Tommy, against Glenn, absolutely ridiculous. If any of these people that are posting online, if you went to their workplace at the point that they managed to cock up something and then start a pile on social media, they would crumble. This is people's livelihood. This is people's careers. Yes, we can have an opinion on it. That's why we're sat here now. Yours is a bit more informed than mine, but you know, I'm looking at it from a fan's perspective. But that's why I was keen to say that Tommy wasn't deliberate in what he did. It was unfortunate, but he paid the penalty for it. But looking at online, and you know, no, Craig's right. You know, it goes back to 2015 and that incident in Sepang. Everything started as a pile on then, and you look at some of the forums on Facebook, and you look at Twitter, things like that. People are so quick to pick up the keyboard or their phone and start. Some of the stuff you see is absolute so ill-informed. and so wide of the mark that I don't know. It upset me if these people are motorcycle racing fans, but they can't be if they're going to take to. And, you know, we've got riders which we prefer. We've got riders that we don't prefer. But at the end of the day, we're all here for motorcycle racing, and this is what we love. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think Elin. The problem is everyone sees things in a different perspective. So I'm all for. Yeah. By the way, a round of applause for Dave, ladies and gentlemen. He's the new Prime Minister. He's in line. He's in the next campaign.
I've been practicing that one all day.
I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone sees things differently. Not everyone. We sometimes forget we're not all in the paddock and we don't get all the information firsthand. We see things through a lens, through a TV. I mean, look at James Whittam. Jim. So yeah, Jimmy. He says, what does he say? He goes, he was under the illusion. He didn't say, what Tommy did there was fine. The way he saw it was, I don't think he's done anything wrong. He wasn't sure. It was like, I think he's okay. So you've got somebody commentating on the race live. They're seeing the information exactly at the same time you're seeing it.
Yeah.
So they can only comment on what they see. And I know if he looked at it back and watched it back, he would probably change the way he said that. But then people then take that information, they run onto social media, and they go, Stuart Higgs is an idiot because that's stupid. You know, what a dum-dum, like idiot, like hashtag idiot. Like you can just see them winding themselves up right in the comment now, can't you? Like,
yeah,
because they've heard this, they've seen that, they've made a judgment, and that's it. That's final. But that's where it all comes unstuck, I guess. You can have an opinion, you can have a view on it. I mean, I've had my opinion changed several times in my life, and I'm probably going to have it changed several more times in different scenarios in my life, and I'm okay 100%. With that. But and straight away getting onto having a platform or a voice to be able to slate someone, and we've touched on it in a podcast before, Dave. You're the weakest type of person if you are that angry that you have to show abuse, you know, in the comments. So, but unfortunately, this day and age, any publicity is good publicity in my eyes. Whether you're a lover or a hater, you're a comment, you're a view, you're another statistic to the ratings for BSB. And like I said when I come on here, it was box office stuff. It's like I felt like I'd subscribed to a UFC press conference and Conor McGregor's throwing chairs at someone, throwing water bottles at someone. I've got Tommy, you know, basically calling Glenn out for a boxing match. Like, you know what I mean? It was all kicking
That's
off.
Donington.
Like, you can't
That's coming at Donington.
You can't help but watch, can you? You're like, what's going to happen next? So,
when you look at that side of it, it's perfect for the sport. Take away the social media and the negative side and the dickheads that comment that don't put a considered opinion forward. Doesn't take much to step back, count to 5, and then go again. Just before I go on to that, a great question from R.K. Seeley. Have you ever said anything on screen that you've later regretted?
Yes, in a big way. I got a penalty. Funny enough, it's a bit sim. So basically, fighting for a championship in.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The truth can be told.
Fighting for a championship in 2018 on the Gearling Kawasaki bike. I just confirmed my contract to step into JG Speedfit Superbike, factory-backed Kawasaki team. My breakthrough. But I'm still in the midst of a championship, and we're at Assen, and I touched the green. I got pushed off track, and I touched the green in the last chicane, and I didn't gain an advantage. I lost it. I lost a bit of time, but this was the exact weekend the rule came. The rule was first brought in. Was you had to drop a second in the sector, otherwise you gain a 3-second penalty. Now, I sort of like got pushed off track, didn't lose a position, didn't gain anything, went across the green, slotted back in, no harm done. Actually, I think I'd lost one position, actually. So I'd lost one position. I thought, well, that's fine because I haven't gained an advantage, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I feel like I'm still defending myself all these years later. Anyway, long story short, I get demoted. I finished second in the race, and I really needed that second place in the race to keep the championship alive. It was still alive after that, but I'd been taken off the podium, and it was like a gaggle across the line. So it was one of them. Like I could have been first. I've just missed first, but I was sixth because of a 3-second penalty, which is just so unfair in at the time in my head, right? So whatever. Rachel Stringer comes running down the pit lane with the Eurosport camera, and she's like, she wants live thoughts because I'm throwing hands. Young me, I'm like, this is bullshit. So anyway, I sit on there, and I know Stuart Higgs probably have a smile on his face if he heard this because I'll tell you this bit in a minute. But basically, I said, I find it difficult that we're out here. We've done a whole season of racing. We're risking everything for the ultimate prize, and some guy in his comfy chair upstairs can press a button and change the whole scenario. And I thought nothing of it. I thought at the time it wasn't even really directed at Stuart. It was directed that way. It was like whoever made the decision, basically what Tommy did. So spewing, absolutely spewing. Didn't think anything of it. Got the knock on the garage. Team manager Ben in the upstairs right now, and I thought, oh, what's happened? Anyway, holy shit! I got it. I got it from everywhere. It was like slap bang bush bosh. I've rang Kawasaki. I'm telling them to terminate your superbike contract. I thought, oh, how's he know about that? It like kicked
He knows
off.
everything.
It kicked off, and I thought, oh, I'm in big trouble. So I was quite remorseful, obviously, and I was like, yeah, look, heat of the moment, I've been funny enough, deja vu. I've been brought up to show respect to other people. I did my spiel and got out of there, got the hell out of Dodge, and just prayed to the Lord that I didn't lose my superbike shot because of some stupid thing I said. But it was this close, I tell you. It was, wasn't one of my finest moments. And funny enough, when I got announced as a superbike rider by Kawasaki, Stuart Higgs shares it on Twitter and goes, "Hope you enjoy your new comfy seat." And I thought that was quite good. So we've since moved on for that, but the relationship was a little bit shaky there for a while.
There's nobody better. I've said this for so long. There's nobody better at doing Stuart Higgs' job than Stuart Higgs.
Well, I tell you, I'll ask you this, Dave. Would you want Stuart's job? Yeah.
No.
Neither would I. So
no.
Just leave that one there. Eh? He must have had to deal with some stuff. He must have had to deal with some stuff in his time.
Absolutely. Yeah, you think so. With everything that goes on, and you only have to think back to Donington last year, how the worst of situations. So I take my hat off to him. It's a thankless job from any side, really.
Yeah, I'm just reading a comment here. Craig Lowe, what's the thoughts on TV chasing emotional riders straight after incidents to get a bit like a Ben story? Jake recently, Tommy, etc., etc. I think we've seen it, haven't we? Time and time again. It's that one interview can change so much for you. It can really it's unbelievable. Because the thing is, as a fan of the sport, you want people to be who they are, but we're sort of engineered to be this corporate robot where you can't say exactly what you want to say. And to a certain extent, rightly so, because it can be quite not downgrading, but it can take away from the the spectacle, the professionalism of the championship, the everything.
Detracting is the word you're looking for.
Detracting from such a great sport, professionalism, and like I said earlier, it's already regarded as one of them, those sports that's on the fence. People don't really agree with it, etc. So it is tough in that sense, but you want to see the emotion because it's good TV. Like, you want go and see Jake after Binder took him out, because we want to know what the crack is, what his thoughts are on it. But then you've got to feel for the rider to a certain extent, because he may say things that he later regrets. So it's a catch-22. It's one of them where I think, we need it. We need more interviews. We need more press conferences. We need that sort of behind the scenes. Do you know what? I would go as far as saying if we dropped a couple of races on a weekend and we had more behind the scenes stuff, I don't think people would be that upset about it. I think people enjoy that. So there's definitely legs in it. It's got to be done. Could you imagine if we just tuned into the race and then tuned out? You wouldn't have an emotional connection.
Imagine what time that would have to go out, knowing full well what goes on in garages and behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Tune in at 11:30 every night.
Like a Big Brother extra.
It's exactly that. Put a couple of webcams up in the corner. That's the absolute thing. A couple of things. A little bit of housekeeping just on a couple of the messages. One of the surprises at Donington that we're bringing to Donington, it's not ringside boxing seats and personalised popcorn. What we have got coming to Donington and Brands are big bobble hats. We're doing a collaboration with Big Bobble Hats. They're doing their beautiful white and pink ones with the massive bobble, and it's going to have an off-track branding on the front of it. So they're only going to be available at the circuit for Donington and Brands, and whatever else is left over will go on sale online. So that's the little secret that we've got planned for the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Lovely.
And also, Ben, this might be a difficult one for you. I don't know, because he's one of your main competitors. I sat down with him on Thursday afternoon and got to know him an awful lot better. Thankfully, it was only 45 minutes. It probably could have been 2.5 or maybe 3 hours. But I sat down with Rhys Irwin. And I genuinely think that kid's done an amazing job this year in, what is it, his third year in Supersport on what could be, kind of a 6-year-old bike on the GSXR. Rider side aside, if that makes any sense whatsoever. What are your thoughts on Rhys from this year, on how he's developed?
Yeah, I think he's done a pretty good job. It's hard to comment on someone that you're currently racing against and still actively in a championship fight, title fight with. So, without saying too much,
mate,
really.
you can plead the fifth on this one if you want. I don't mind. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
He's doing a good job. His bike's good. It's fast. It handles really well. It's 6 years old, but it's still one of the fastest bikes on the grid for sure. It's probably more. It's older than that. I mean, my bike's like that old as well. People forget, you know what I mean? My bike's been around for ages. It's based on an old model of Ducati. They just build it. They just happen to still build it new. But yeah, I think he's done a good job. He's been unfortunate actually at Oulton Park, hasn't he? He got taken out by Richard Cooper, and he had I think he might have had a mechanical. So he had two.
Yeah, the exhaust hanger broke.
Yeah, I mean
so he got the old meatball flag, unfortunately.
Yeah, that could have been an aftermath of the unfortunate incident in the first race. So you never know. So, but this is.
It's racing, isn't it?
I want to say, I've been around the game for a while now. I worked my way up through Superstock 600. I finished second in that championship after 2 or 3 years. That's when I first started racing over here, basically first started racing road bikes. You know, I stepped into super sport. I remember my first ever super sport race. I qualified second on the grid next to Andy Reid in front of Taz McKenzie, Mason Law, Rispoli, all these crazy names that we've heard over the years. You know, and I, you know, come on a flash, and then I had a massive like downfall, like slump, where all of a sudden I was really struggling, thinking, how am I going to get myself out of this one? Then I came back and I started doing good. Then I got my shot in Superbike, destroyed myself injury wise, stepped back into Supersport. So basically what I'm trying to say is I've experienced all the different things. I've had the heartbreak of missing out on a championship because of mechanicals or penalties, different little things that could have changed the whole perspective on championships. I've seen it. I've done it. It sucks. It is part of racing. I've paid my dues. You know what I mean? And so, although I feel sorry for Reese, you know, of the weekend, I was obviously the max benefiter in that sense, where I, you know, grew my championship lead out to quite a substantial amount for this time of the season. Doesn't mean it's over. I've been there. I've done it. I've seen that, and it sucks. It does, but that's bike racing, and the kid is going to get his shot. He's going to have a shot. He's a talented, young, fast rider, and he's got the makings to do it. And look, it still ain't over. There's 4 races left. He's still in the title fight. So, look, let the best man win, as they say. I know it's an old cliche, but, you know, that's the reality of it.
With a 68-point buffer, you're doing all right so far, kiddo.
It's going all right, Dave. It's going all right. We've put a lot of graft into this project. Team, you know, massive sort of financial investment from the team to run me this season alongside the Superbike. No expense spared. The guys have put their heart and soul into it for one objective, and that's to win. We all set out to win, but you know, along with the support of Ducati and you know, the guys at the factory, it would only be just, is that the right word, for the team to, you know, sort of to reap the rewards from this. I know Ducati seem to be winning everything at the moment, but let me tell you, just because you buy a Ducati doesn't mean you're guaranteed to win a title. You've got to put the work in. You've got to win the races. The guys have to do their job in the garage. And luckily enough for me, I've picked the best outfit to do that.
If you win the championship, do you get a Superbike ride next year?
I don't know. You'll have to wait and see, I guess. You'll have to wait and see.
I didn't even ask you that on Thursday when I saw you. I just thought
You've never asked me, have you?
I said, no, it's the first time. And people ask me all the time, oh, is Ben stepping up next year? What's it? I said, genuinely, I don't know. And we'll park that one there and let's see what happens after Donington and Brands. A nod for there's some lovely comments coming in of how lovely it was to see Chrissy's niece handing out the trophies with the Bennett's guys, with Mikey Burton and Noobs and the Bennett's team on Sunday. Lovely to see Betsy up there, and the fact that he ain't going to be forgotten. I'm sure there'll be some kind of tribute at Donington. That's why we have this. That's why this is here. That's his Bell helmet. That's the outline for the helmet. And as people know, or maybe don't know, there's one pink stripe for Chrissy and one pink stripe for Keith Farmer. So we carry him with us all the time. And it was lovely to see them back in the paddock. Quick note on potential moves. Tom Sykes was there at the weekend again. Maybe that was just a PBM thing. Was he looking for a ride? There ain't that many rides available, you know, the championship challenge.
No, well, there's funny you say that. I was thinking earlier, like Leebob, like he's absolutely it's typical, isn't it? When all the chips are down and you've got to do something. It's amazing what you can find in that little bag of tricks, and take nothing away from the guy. He's absolutely riding incredible. he's been smashing it. And it would be a real shame to see him go without a ride next year. We obviously know that Osho's taking his ride, so he's yet to confirm something. We've got, like you said, Sykesy sniffing around. Well, are we going to see the PBM team return? Do we know for sure that they're going to be back, or are we going to see the two first and second in the championship looking for a ride come Brands Hatch?
For me, in my heart of hearts, I think they will return.
Okay.
I think Jordan and Frank and Johnny Mowat, I truly believe that they will take the team forward.
Well, I hope so.
I think Jordan will work with Grandad, and I think that they will return next year. Jordan knows what she's doing. Jordan and Johnny have been kind of running the team since Thruxton anyway, since Paul's been poorly. So I think that they have the infrastructure to take it forward. So I'm quietly confident they'll come back. I don't know anything from the team. I don't know anything 100%, but I am quietly confident that they'll come back.
Well, I hope so, because that would be a really big loss to the championship. So, yeah, I mean, we're yet to get sort of confirmation. We've had FHO confirm their riders early doors. Early doors.
OMG are confirmed.
OMG. Is Vickers definitely confirmed on that other ride?
Yeah, 2-year deal.
Okay, there you go. Kyle re-signed. We seen that. Thinking down the grid. I mean, you've got some of the privateer sort of smaller teams, like Mossy's team. Will Mossy remain? He'll go again next year, I would assume.
He needs some luck, that boy. If he fell in a barrel of tits, he'd come out sucking his thumb.
What an absolute saying that is. I've never heard that. That's funny as.
Also very true where Luke's concerned.
Yeah, again, Craig Lowe will tag, continue. These are all good questions. The thing is, what we've got now happening is a massive backlog. I mean, I want to speak out of turn, but this is my sort of take on what's happening at the moment. We're seeing things move, quite slowly in the sense of re-signing. We're seeing a shift in the championship with the new Evo spec coming in. So we're probably looking at seeing bikes being dimmed down a bit in the future with maybe less cost to help with cost. I'm starting to see a shift where, whether it's technical for actually slowing the bikes down because they're just getting stupid fast, whether it's to save costs because times are tough. But in my humble opinion, I'm seeing the backlog of COVID now where corporate deals and stuff like that have been done long term. We saw out that pandemic. We saw the post-pandemic where everyone thought, things are going to crash. I think it's had a sort of a knock-on effect, like a couple of years where companies now are starting to feel the effects of inflation. Sales might be down in different areas, whether it's bike sales, parts, accessories. So, and look, I'm not here to scaremonger anyone, but we could be potentially seeing a little bit of a tough spot in the financial situation in racing in general. I think
support classes all the way through.
I mean, to go to an event, and let me tell you, BSB is very cheap for what it is. Yeah. Like a 3-day event, why is it 40 quid to go there and have a weekend? But you're talking, family of 5 going there. You're talking camping, the travel, food. You're talking 500 quid sort of exercise. People are tightening their screws a little bit at home. It costs a lot more to live now. So again, are these all the knock-on effects that we're seeing? Are we going to see a little bit of almost like a little bit of a recession in racing, like a little mini economy going on in each championship, MotoGP, World Superbike, BSB? Is that what we're seeing right now? Or am I just overthinking it, and we're in a great spot still. I mean, we're always in a great spot. It's entertainment, but
Entertainment wise, we've never been better.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I don't know whether BSB, as Maggie said, it's still an incredible value to for what we have for the races, for the access, and everything that goes with it. It's fantastic value for money over a weekend. But when you start throwing in a hotel and you start throwing in food and some merch for the kids, it does become a little bit expensive with everything else. It is, and people are watching it. Cost of food's gone up and it isn't coming down. The cost of mortgages are going up, and it's a bit of a negative point. But yeah, you're right in what you say, that there are some changes, and I think there'll be a few, especially support class riders, that maybe struggle for sponsorship next year, which is maybe the changing classes is coming at the right time and maybe a bit more manufacturer driven.
Yeah, I think that could be happening. That could be happening for sure. I'm just reading the comments as they're coming in, people's opinions on things like that. Obviously, there's rumours of a international round in Spain next year.
I would be absolutely amazed if round one wasn't Navarra.
Yeah.
I will be amazed, because it just makes sense to go out there as they did last year, do a couple of days testing, have a day off, media day, and then do Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Sorry, Dave. I'm reading Neil Gandy's comment. £3.50 for a brew, and I love this, right? Because I love the British people.
Gandy needs to meet other people.
Yeah, I love British people because, like, if you want to measure inflation in the UK, like, measure it by brew. You know what I mean? Like,
it's brew cost.
Or
a Freddo, as Jen said. Perfect.
Forget all your economic geniuses and all that. I don't want to hear it, mate. Like,
Freddos
used
to be 10p, now they're 75p.
Yeah, it's
What's
a substantial
all that about?
increase. I mean, I'm used to it, mate. I've been brought up in Melbourne. Coffees over in Melbourne were $5 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like,
Ben, you're a coffee snob, though. You don't drink Costa and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. Who's the idiot? Like, you're paying what, £4.50 for a coffee at Costa?
Only when you're buying.
Yeah.
A flat white somewhere around there. Yeah, let's go back to Jacko.
Yeah, go on. Where do you reckon he's going to go?
Hawk. It's an old team.
Kirsty just whispered in my ear. She loves gossip. She goes, "Bar train 2 bikes." Is that official or is that just rumour? Oh, she's heard a rumour. Mar train with 2 bikes.
From what I heard after Cadwell, probably not. But things change.
Well, watch this space, I guess. But Hawk makes sense. But who would be out the door? I guess Josh Owens.
Sadly, it might be Josh. He's had such a difficult year with things that have gone wrong for him and injury and everything else.
I'm not from Maui, mate. I grew up in Melbourne, the southeastern suburbs, and I moved to Traralgon, which is nowhere near Maui. Can I just say, people from the UK won't have a clue what he's saying, but it's I don't live in Maui. Let me tell you that.
He's from Scotland. I don't know what he says anyway.
Hang on, is it Chris Turley? Is it?
Yeah, it's your sponsor, Chris Turley.
He knows where I live. That's funny though.
You're from like Talladega.
Everyone's
or whatever it's called.
Maui now.
What's I can't remember what it is. Oh no, yeah, washing machines live longer with Taralgon or something like that.
Is that our saying? Is it?
It's kind of where you're from, isn't it? Somewhere like that, Taralgon or something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're going to fall off the end of this soon, mate. We're an hour and 10 minutes in.
You know what? I'm just looking at this number, 88 retention here. It's barely dropped below 90. Wow. Like, has people got nothing better to do than listen to us talk absolute garbage? Like, we might not even, like, all this could be just bollocks. You know what I mean? Like, it could be, couldn't it?
But people enjoy just people talking bollocks about racing, don't they? Without actually abusing anybody.
Yeah.
And hopefully I haven't upset Jeff Lapworth with my opinion on Tommy either. Yeah,
I mean, it's just an opinion. It doesn't mean we, like, if we have to hug and kiss it at Donington, we will to make it all right. You know what I mean? Like, there's no hard feelings.
This time, can you make sure you wear like some lip salve or something? Because you were a bit rough last time.
Can I just say, Dave, I'm going to do the corporate thing here, and I'm going to say everybody that's in this chat right now, press that thumbs up button, because there's only 26 likes. Like, I feel a bit sad.
Yeah. And also, if you're not subscribing, make sure you subscribe, because next time we're going to change it that you have to subscribe to be able to comment.
Yeah, and you have to pay us £100 to watch next time as well. So.
Thank you, Jeff. That's very kind of you. I'm always aware of not upsetting people and trying to have
the
a
going up. Holy shit!
They're going back up again. They're going back up
drugs. Again. It's like give me the likes.
Mark Jackson, there's a great idea. Chloe Jones's podium in Junior Supersport. Great news for her. She had such a difficult season last year on the Stocker, and good to see her on the podium.
Yeah, that's incredible. What, in Junior Supersport? Where, at Oulton Park or?
Yeah, Junior Supersport at Oulton. It was the very last race. Most people were halfway home, bless her.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't see the race, but yeah, amazing. What an awesome achievement. See the girl, shine through in a very male dominant sort of sport is bravo.
So good. What's this about Kirsty's brownies? Mick Jenner, Owen Jenner's dad.
Do you know what? He killed me on the weekend, right? His lad is in second place or third place in a Superstock 600 race, like banging bars mid-race. And Kirsty's like, does anyone want brownies? Because I'm throwing them out if not. And he's at the front of the garage. He turns around and goes, brownies? I'll have one. Comes in, has a brownie, has a chat. I'm looking at the screen going, isn't that your lad in there in second place? He's like, yeah, he's all right. He'll be all right. We're having a brownie. I was absolutely cracking up.
Mick Jenner, what a legend. All the time in the world for that man. Owen's doing really well as well. He's only 6 points behind in the championship. And that Stock 6 race was mint. Fair play to Cam Dawson away at the front, but watching Owen and Sammy Laffins banging bars, that was some good racing. I still enjoy that class. Yeah, be a shame to see it go, but that's a whole other podcast.
It will be a shame to see it go. So many of the top guys have come out of there. It's such a good class, but I'm sure they're going to replace it with something worthy that's going to see the future still shine bright.
Yeah, one last thing.
That much waffle now, Dave. How much longer are we going to do this for?
Now, one last thing. Bit of a chapeau to Franco Bourne over the weekend. Superb performance. Will he end up staying on the bike for next season? I don't know whether he ends up on one of these pathway bikes or whether he goes to stock for a season. It's a whole other podcast. I tell you what, we'll do it again after Donington Park. What do you reckon?
Well, I think so. We'll hold the thoughts for now. We'll finish them off. But I will say, I think I looked up at the time, it was like 48 minutes and we'd still not got off the Tommy Bridewell subject and the Glen Irwin thing. So fair play, like that's impressive. So it must be a hell of a story. But no, it's been a pleasure to do it again, Dave, and I'll be happy to do it after Donington Park if I'm still as happy as I am now after a race weekend.
Yeah, let's hope so, mate. Well, we'll be there. We'll see you down there. If we get a chance to have a catch up, that'd be brilliant. I know you've got a bit of a job on that weekend, so I'm not going to bother you too much, but I'll come and see you on the Thursday when we get there. And we'll have a catch up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for hitting the like button, the subscribe button. I'm glad you enjoy what we do with these. It's good fun for us to sit here and see you. And it's good to see you getting involved with the comments as well. And they're so polite and well-informed comments. It's been brilliant. Also, thank you very much to my other half who's sat here just eagerly beavering away on the comment section. Jennifer, thank you very much. Kirsty, thank you for letting us crash your evening again.
She's painting her nails, right, with this blue light, and I just hear her, like, doing this crap next to me.
There we go.
Put the blue light back on. Oh, it's a nail salon in here.
She's drying her nails off under the UV.
That's funny. Anyway,
Behind two great fellas are two even greater women. So thank you, ladies.
With
thank
great
you.
nails.
And with great nails. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you next time. Reese Irwin show out tomorrow, 5:30. And at some point, we will get the Roger Marshall and Roger Burnett out, and the boys from McCann's Yamaha, Tim Seed and Mike Norton, electronics and suspension technicians, just for a bit of tech talk.
and let us know who you want on the pod. Let's go.
So many going on. It's just so busy. Tommy Hill coming up at Donington Park, and a few others as well that names escape me at this point because I'm falling off the end of this. So I'm going to go and have another brew, watch a bit of telly. Ben, thank you, mate. A pleasure as always, and I'll see you at Donington Park, brother.
Ciao, Bella. See you later.
Ciao. Thanks, everybody.